Hi! Thanks again for tuning in to Sane's workshop. Hope everyone's having a great day. So today we're going to be talking about Sisters of Sword and Song by Rebecca Ross. You know what? I ended up liking this novel a little bit more than I thought I would. I was intrigued by the premise of it, that's for sure. That's why I picked it up in the first place. I thought the cover art was very beautiful. And there was something about it that reminded me a little bit of Greek mythology. Today I'm joined by my son, who's looking at me like I'm a crazy person. But in any case, what I really found intriguing of this novel was really the world building and the mythology that Ross devoted to her storytelling. She created her own mythology, and I thought it was really good. I thought it was really enriching. I thought it was very compelling because it was very reminiscent of Greek and Roman mythology, and it had this powerful impact. Evadne, she and her sister, they come from the fallen god, He chose to give up his immortality and his godlyhood to be with the people. As for other people, magic users are all descendant of gods themselves, who at one point or another, they came, they mingled, had kids, spread their blood. I don't know if you can hear my son in the background playing with his toys. But in any case, so that's what I thought was really enriching about this novel. I loved the mythology. I loved how it laid out the foundation and the groundwork for the world building and for the storytelling. I thought it was ultimately very captivating, and I have to say, I loved it because it also impacted the sisters as well, and it impacted their growth. It has a really strong effect on who these girls are. They come from a fallen god, they're olive farmers. They farm olive, to make fresh pressed olive oil. They are olive farmers. And their prospects, being descendant from a fallen god aren't really high. A lot of magic users, they are part of the hierarchy. And as you can imagine, they like to think of themselves as very special individuals. So for these girls, it's sort of like a taboo to be descendant from this god, but they don't think so at all. They revere and respect their ancestor completely, and I think that's really good. And it also showcases how different the two sisters are. Halcyon, she joined the army. She's always been very strong, and her sister, Injured, has always wanted more. She's always wanted magic in her life, and she does end up getting magic in her life, but in a very different way. And I think it says a lot about her character because she grows exponentially throughout the novel. I really have to say I prefer Evadne towards her sister, because when the novel opens, you sort of have this idea of who Evadne's sister is, and she's running away from the law. And the reason she's running away from the law is pretty stupid. It is kind of stupid of her character, and I wasn't a fan of that one thing. It just doesn't fit with the context of who we're supposed to believe her sister is, and it works more of like just a plot device to create tension and to progress the story forward. I think that sort of diminishes it just a little bit, because it's just, like I said, I just didn't get why Halcyon was running away. It was an accident. You would think her general would know her, and he does. He says, why would you do this? You know me well enough. I pretty much raised you in this army. You were my most trusted one. Why would you do this? So it doesn't fit with their relationship, and you get to see the clear disappointment of him. You get to see the clear disappointment of Halcyon in her actions, because even she regrets her actions. So at least there is that. Even she acknowledges it was kind of stupid of her to be running away. Whenever you run away, you make yourself look guilty. End of story. And she's not guilty. But there's a lot of tension in the hierarchy. There's something has happened with the queen. The general's sister sort of manipulating a lot of things. There's lots of underhanded darkness to the story, and I think Ross really highlights it very well. She highlights all this darkness. She highlights the corrupt nature of the magic users and how they're abusing their power at the expense of pretty much everyone. They want to be the only ones with the power. They don't want people, relic hunters, to go looking for magical items. They want this, difference. They want the rich to remain rich and the poor to remain poor. Sorry, my son just took off his sock. He's always taking off only one sock. Love you, little boy. In any case, I like how there is a lot of tension created. I like how there's lots of development for Evadne's character. And I love her devotion to her sister. I'll say this. For sisters who haven't seen each other in years, they hold on to their memories of each other very strongly. They hold on to their love of one another. They don't think one is better than the other, and they have such great strengths to them. Evadne thinks that as she was injured as a child, so she has a limp. She thinks of herself as lesser than her sister, and she sees herself in her sister's shadow. So the novel is really about her escaping that shadow of her sister. There's lots of allegories to it, lots of reminiscing on the mythology of the land. And she has to prove herself, not to anyone else, but to herself. She proves to herself that she is just as capable as anyone else, that she is as compassionate and strong as anyone else. And she's very intelligent. A lot of people look down at her, again, because of her bloodline. But she's very intelligent, she's very charismatic, she's very clever, and she's very strong. And in the end, she's the hero of the day. She is the hero, and I love that. I love how she becomes the hero. And I love how the dynamics change. I love her relationships with other characters. I like how they grow and they flourish and they develop. And I think it's very intriguing to see how the story evolves. I think it's very intriguing to see how it grows. And so once again, this is Sisters of Sword and Song. If you love mythology, you're definitely going to love this novel. I do give it 4 stars. I really wasn't a fan of Halcyon for a bit of this novel. I much preferred her sister. I've already expressed why. But I loved the mythology. I loved the world building. I loved the character development, and I loved the dynamics. And I loved how the magic was sort of incorporated and structured in this novel as well. And so, Sisters of Sword and Song, you can go ahead and purchase it on bookshop.org. I highly recommend purchasing books on bookshop.org because a percentage of all proceeds do go to local booksellers. And it'll tell you in checkout how much of your purchase is going to go to booksellers. And I think that's really great. If money's too tight, which I know for a lot of us it is, check out the book from your local library. Support your local libraries because they are a great resource for the community. And please do not forget to support me. There is a link in the description to become a supporter on Anchor. For just 99 cents a month, that money goes towards making this podcast even better. And there's so many things I would like to do with this podcast. Or you can just support me by following me on Spotify, or following me where you get your podcasts. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And as always, happy reading.